embracing God's law and living fulfilled lives with purpose and love. Today's Gospel reading is Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 to 19. In today's world, characterized by moral relativism and a tendency to dismiss traditional values and teachings, today's Gospel reading is serving as a reminder that neither the Old Testament commandments and laws nor the teachings of Christ are irrelevant in today's day, but it serves as a roadmap, as a blueprint on how to live more fulfilled lives with God, with love of God and love of neighbor at its core. So, if you think that the Old Testament is irrelevant with the coming of Jesus and us having the New Testament and Jesus' teachings, you couldn't be more wrong. Jesus is reminding us today that He came to fulfill the law and God's commandments right up to the T. That even a full stop and like the dot of an I would not be overlooked when it came to the teachings of the Old Testament and God's law and commandments. So, like Jesus, we need to learn from Him how He, right from childhood, had this love for the scripture of the Old Testament. He studied scripture, he taught scripture, and lived it right from childhood into throughout his life. There are three things for us to consider in today's reading. One is the continuity and transformation of the law from the Old Testament into the New. The moral and ethical teachings of the Old Testament is not to be overlooked, and it is not just about conforming to them externally, but it involves more of an internal transformation and complying to God's will and God's love. Secondly, is that this law, God's law, is a pathway to love. Jesus says that He is here for the fulfillment of the law, and He tells us that the essence of God's commandments and laws is just two things: love of God and love of neighbor. Thirdly is the call to authentic living. We need to check where our hearts are at. The intention behind every action should be from a place of love for God and a place of love for our brethren. This is my short reflection for today's Gospel reading. God bless you. I will see you tomorrow.